Starfighter.
Only Murderers in... I'm sorry, that is such a horrible title. Only Murderers in the Building is an episodic, comedic murder mystery about three strangers who live in the same apartment complex, create a true crime podcast in order to solve a murder that happened in their building. The show's investigative writing blended with comedic cinematography is absolutely eye-opening to watch. It's just disappointing that the show is inconsistent with this level of storytelling throughout its 2 seasons. The atmospheric tone of the show is pretty good, with its characters fleshing out this weird, dark, historical world they live in. The 3 protagonists in the series are Mabel Mora, who I like to believe is the leading character the show revolves around, Charles Savage, a has-been actor who is socially awkward, and Oliver Putnam, the hilarious, witty stage director who honestly is the heart of the show. The murder mystery in itself is honestly a bit lackluster, to the point where it should hardly be called a mystery at all. And what I mean by that is...
make him feel small.
The fuck? What the fuck?
I figured he stayed behind to write some fucking masterpiece.
No fucking way. Bye. Fuck you.
Remember that old saying of if a tree were to fall with no one around to hear it, would it actually make a sound? I'm trying to relate this analogy to the series because is something truly a mystery if nobody really cares? Season 1 has 10 episodes that revolves around the death of Tim Kono. With each episode, the show feeds you information about the characters, the victims, and the overall mystery in such a formulaic, predictable format that you can pretty much guess who the killer is within the first 3 to 4 episodes. If the mystery element to the show is so basic and doesn't challenge the viewer to solve it, then why would anyone care? The characters, who I found all but one to be bland, unrealistic, and unlikable, if the victim of the murder who the show is based on is revealed to be an asshole who is not liked by any friends or any family, then again I ask, why would anyone care? For me, season 1 was pretty boring. However, I felt that the biggest thing working against season 1 wasn't the predictable mystery. It's actually the fact that the show is a comedy. For a TV series to be a sound comedy, it has to start with your actors and the chemistry they feed off from one another. During season 1, at no point did I feel that these actors belonged on screen with each other. I don't know if it was the writing to blame or the comedic timing for a few actors. A lot of the jokes felt forced and outdated. Now, with that said, there was still one character that kept me watching season 1 week after week, and it was Oliver Putnam, who is portrayed by the legendary comedic actor Martin Short. He is the only character that made me laugh. His timing, his delivery, his aura on the series is incredible. In episode 9 of season 1, there was a running gag of Charles's character looking too much like his stuntman, who is actually a woman. And Oliver's delivery throughout the episode is gold.
Charles, I need to camp. Okay. I don't know what work you've had done, but it's too much. And that is not the response you first want.
Besides Oliver's character, the rest of the actors' comedic performances felt very flat. Steve Martin is a legend and we all praise his earlier roles, but he has no business being casted in this series. Selena Gomez's acting is just, oh my god. I will talk about her later in this review because she deserves a separate segment completely dedicated to her. Only Murderers in the Building would have been better off if it was a straight drama mystery. At the end of season 1, when it was revealed that it was Charles' girlfriend Jan is the murderer of Tim Kono, which, again, if you were to watch the first 4 episodes, anyone would have saw this coming. It was difficult for me to feel any dramatic suspense because every minute the series forced a joke during every situation. After finishing all of season 1, when I started season 2, I realized that Only Murderers in the Building is suffering from 2 problems. And the first one being TV series today don't really put much emphasis on its story or the character development. Instead, it's about which actors they can find to be a part of their show. Selena Gomez wasn't hired on the series for her acting capabilities. Instead, it was for her cult following. When a series has a celebrity like Selena Gomez, you're nearly guaranteed 3 seasons, because no matter how good or bad the series is, there will always be a large audience watching for that particular celebrity. Which for me is a bit sad to hear, because a different actress other than Selena would have done wonders for the series. Selena's acting in seasons 1 and 2 is honestly laughable, and even though the series is supposed to be a comedy, her performance makes you question if Selena ever bothered to study acting. Besides the Gomez effect, I would say the series has a way bigger problem on its hands, and it's that the series lacks in one crucial thing.
Okay, yeah, ladies, I don't have a clue what's happening here, but none of it's interesting.
The thing that absolutely kills me about Only Murderers in the Building is that the actors, the writers, the directors, it feels like everyone made the show just to make a show. There's no passion, there's no consistency, there's no gray area for characters to contemplate if they like who they're changing into as human beings. There's no hidden sympathy shown towards the villains of the seasons or any of the victims who have died. And my goodness, there's not even a good enough emotional connection between Mabel and Tom Kono. In season 1, you learn that it's revealed that they both were actually friends when they were younger. But then when he witnessed a friend's death and promised to someone that he would never speak on it, they go at least 10 years without speaking to each other. Which, honestly, are they even actually friends at that point? They feel more like acquaintances at best. There are a handful of great comedic mysteries that this show was clearly not influenced by. Instead, with the acting, writing, and directing, Only Murderers in the Building looks like a modern mystery series that feels extremely outdated. But even with all that said, I was still dedicated to watch.
Oh my God!
Oh my god!
Oh my God!
Season 2 starts off immediately where season 1 ended, with Mabel hunched over a dead body, making it seem like she is the murderer. Mabel, Charles, and Oliver were taken into police custody to only be released shortly after. The trio begin a new season of their podcast so they can unravel the mystery of another murder in their building. Season 2 has a lot more characters, a lot more cameos, and unfortunately less creative cinematography than season 1. Long season short, Martin Short completely steals the entire season with his performance, while Selena Gomez nearly ruined the entire season with hers. Ant-Man made a 3-minute cameo and gave the funniest line I've heard in all of 2022.
I know that. Well, you don't think I know that? I just didn't mention it to be polite to you, you piece of shit.
Hey.
Every character on the show thought Tina Fey's character is the murderer, but any viewer with common sense could have told you that it was her actual assistant, Poppy. Mabel also gets a girlfriend within 48 hours and then shows no signs of affection to her for the entire series. Charles's character is still hung up over his ex-murdering girlfriend, and what else? Oh, and Mabel stabbed a random pedestrian on a subway. If that sounded very congested to you, that's because it is. Season 2 has a lot of information and a lot of events that was mainly just filler. To be honest, you can watch the first and last 5 minutes of every episode until the end, and you wouldn't really miss out on anything that's related to the murder mystery of Season 2. However, I will say Season 2 is better than Season 1 because the show has completely developed the overall message of what the series is about, which is having...
Get out. What the fuck is in Bo's mouth?
Becky's panties.
It is not Ray. Too obvious.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm just relieved that something of Becky Butler showed up somewhere. I almost forgot who went missing.
Only Murders in the Building tells its viewers it's okay to have an obsession with true crime. It's within our own animal human instincts that we gravitate towards stories that are fueled with survival, fear, and violence. With a galore of podcasts, hundreds of articles, tens of thousands of documentaries, movies, and even Hulu original series, each season of Only Murderers in the Building is a metaphor to why Americans obsess over true crime, why the media profits off of glorifying serial killers, and why the victims of the families can never get past their trauma. I say if you're a fan, and I mean a hardcore fan of true crime, then maybe it's worth giving Only Murderers in the Building a few episodes. If you're not a fan of that genre at all, then don't even waste your time.
Greetings, Starfighter.